Now, this gets really confusing for people sometimes because I think that there's a misconception that if the picture is of you, you own the photo.
We're here, we're real, it's time to shine. Cameras, crowns, and chaos combine. Unscripted, authentic, and full of cheer. This is our podcast, so lend us your ear.
Welcome back to Cameras, Crowns, and Chaos. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Lindsay King, and this is episode 2. So today we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to start with cameras. Today's topic in cameras is a print release versus a copyright release. Now, I'll tell you what, as a client, I don't expect my clients to know the difference. As a photographer, I do expect other photographers to know the difference. That said, when I started off as a photographer myself, I probably didn't know the difference. I'm sure somebody educated me at some point because I know a little bit about copyright when I started my business, only because I had been shooting a few years prior to ever opening my doors officially. But I don't think that I actually probably knew all the nuances and all the differences. So I'd like to educate my clients, anybody who's watching, and also new and upcoming photographers between the difference of a copyright release and a print release. So what's it all about? First of all, when I take a photo with my camera, when I push that button, I am officially the copyright owner of that photo. If I were to take my camera and hand it off to somebody else and they pushed the button to create the image, even though it's my camera, it's my memory card, the copyright actually would belong to the person that pushed the shutter button. Now, this gets really confusing for people sometimes because I think that there's a misconception that if the picture is of you, you own the photo. You have the ability and the right to allow or deny access to someone wanting to use that photo. But that's actually not how it works. So when I click that button and I create that image, I am the official copyright owner right off the rip. Now, what does that mean? That means that when I own the copyright, I can sell the image, I can publish the image, I can alter the image, I can do anything that I want to do with that image. So if I sold that copyright to my client, that means in turn that they would have those rights in place of me if I gave them the copyright and if I didn't hold a co-copyright with them. So if I sold my client a copyright release, that means that they would be able to sell it, alter it, publish it, do anything that they wanted to do with it. Now, most professional photographers are not giving a copyright release. Hey, stop it back there. Typically, in my experience, the only time I ever see anyone giving a copyright release will be if I'm scrolling Facebook and I see in one of those local, community groups, and it's a new and upcoming photographer, and they'll say, unlimited photos with a copyright release, and then they'll give the cost information and anything else. And usually for me, that is a major sign / red flag that is a new photographer who has not been educated on the difference between a copyright release and a print release. So the reason that you won't see most working professional photographers that do have some experience and background giving a copyright release is because we don't want our photos to be altered. We don't want our photos to be sold or published without our consent, without our knowledge, but that doesn't mean that someone won't let you purchase a copyright release from them. Now, one thing that you'll want to know is that when you're going to a photographer who offers their service with digital images and a print release, you're going to pay whatever the set fee is. So let's just say the fee is $400, you get the session, and then you get the digital images with a personal print release. But if you went to your photographer and said, I want to be able to alter my images, I want to publish them, I want to sell them, what do I need to do? Can I purchase the copyright? That price of $400 is most likely going to skyrocket because once that photographer sells the copyright to you, they no longer have any rights to, unless they keep a co-copyright, they no longer have any rights to decide how that image is allowed to be used. That is why most working photographers will give a print release, a personal print release. What a personal print release allows you to do is print your photos anywhere you want, anytime you want, as many times as you want. And usually you can also use your photos online. Now, some photographers will require that if you use your photos on social media that you tag them or that you at least credit them. I don't do that myself, but some photographers do. It's really going to be in what your actual print release says. Like that that information is typically written into your print release. So whatever your print release says, that's what you're going to want to go by. Now, what happens if you have a print release, but you alter your photo, or you decide to try to distribute your photo for publication? That's where things get sticky, because it really at that point is going to be up to the discretion of the photographer as to what avenue they might want to pursue. Do they want to let it go, leave it alone? Do they feel like what you're doing might impact their business or disservice their business? Do they want to take legal action? These are all things that a photographer is going to consider if you alter their photo or if you submit their photo for publication without their consent. And they have a right to do that if you don't own the copyright to said digital photo or photos. I'll give you 2 examples. So the first example is this. I specialize in headshots, fashion portfolios, and senior photos. So if I had a headshot client come in and I did their headshots for them and they got their headshots back and they decided that they really liked them, but they just wanted to be zhuzhed up a little bit more, they would have the opportunity to come to me. All my clients know, if you need a little bit more on your retouch, just come back, let me know. But if my client decided, no, I'm just going to do it myself, and then they took that photo and they went ahead and retouched it in Photoshop or in one of those face apps, and the picture no longer was representative of my work, that would be a real disservice to my brand. Because when my client takes that headshot and they decide that they're going to retouch it, so they're going to retouch on top of the retouch I've already done, now they may have changed their hair or their eye color or their smile or their bone structure or their body size, because these are all things that you can do in some of these retouching apps. What they do is they'll take that picture, they'll post it on their social media, everybody's ranting and raving like, oh my gosh, you look gorgeous, this is amazing, and it's awesome. And listen, I'm all here for it. If you want your photo super retouched, that's totally up to you. That's okay. But what happens is when you post that photo and you credit me and you say, thank you so much, Lindsay King, where we have a little bit of an issue is that now you're getting all these comments and you're getting all this praise and people are being super nice to you. But like, you've got my name tagged, so people are looking at that photo and they're thinking, if I book a session with her, that will be the quality of photo that I get back. Now, somebody might not book me because they feel like the photo looks overly retouched, which is a total disservice to my business, to my style. But they also might decide, oh my gosh, I absolutely love that, I'm definitely going to book her. This is also a disservice to my business and to my style. And sometimes that creates more problems later on, because the client will come in, they'll have the session, and then when the retouch doesn't look like how they anticipated it to, which is way more retouch than what I might have done, or body modifications that I may have not initially done without that being requested of me, now they're feeling a little bit let down and a little bit disappointed because they thought that they saw my work on so-and-so's page, but the truth is they saw an altered version of my work. So now they've paid for a session and the results that they're getting are not what they were expecting. So when a client goes in and re-edits my photos, it does a total disservice to my brand. That's why I don't give a copyright release. I do give personal printing rights. Now, if I have a client who says, look, I want to alter my photos to high heaven, I want to purchase the rights outright, that is definitely something we can discuss. I'm happy to do that. Another example for this is one thing that's become really popular over the last probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years, is online digital magazines. So who doesn't want to be featured in an online digital magazine? I get it. Like, they're super fun. I think that it's really cool, you know, to like see yourself in a magazine and have something written up about you and have your photos in there. I totally get it. I think it's really cool. However, those online digital magazines know, or they should know if that's the business that they're in, that they have to have a copyright release or they have to have a special release to use the photos. When they ask you, do you have permission to submit these photos? They're kind of maybe staying somewhere in the gray area and not quite black and not quite white, because I think a lot of these magazines do know that clients don't typically understand that they have to have rights for publishing, and that most clients are not going to have those right off the rip unless they've purchased those. But when you submit your photos and you click, yes, I have the rights to these photos, that's all they need. So their hands are clean because you told them that you have rights to publish those photos, and now they're just going to take that and they're going to run with it. what happens is that then they publish the photo in the magazine, and if they do credit me, I've noticed that I'm credited improperly. Either my name is spelled wrong or it's not the right business name. It happens because those magazines, they are not reaching out to the photographer to make sure that they have the information right. They don't care. They want to deal with you, the person who's submitting, and they don't want to deal with anyone else, which I get. Why would you want to involve any extra people? But here's the biggest issue. Number one, I don't have a problem with my clients wanting to submit their photos to those magazines. I really don't. It's not included in my print release, but there's never been a time that I can recall where I've ever asked a client to, not do that or whatever. However, what happens, where the problem comes in, is back to example 1, which is when you have re-altered the photo that I've already altered, you've submitted it to a magazine, there might be a couple hundred or maybe a couple of thousand people who are in the same genre, and we're going to go with pageants because this is the most common one. There's a couple hundred or a couple thousand people in this genre who are going to see your photo now that is retouched in a way that I personally wouldn't do, or I might not put my stamp of approval on. And again, it's not a judgment. It's not my style, and it's not how I want my work or my name to be represented. So they see your photo, they see who it's credited to, and immediately their thought is, I'm never going to use that photographer. That is such a disservice to my business. So this is why most photographers who have experience, who are working professionals, and who are not up and coming are going to give you a print release rather than give you a copyright release. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me at camerascrownsandchaos@gmail.com and I can explain further, or if you have specific questions, I can definitely try to answer those. But that is copyright release versus print release in a nutshell. Now, moving on, we're going to talk about, in our crowns portion, glitz pageants versus natural pageants. Glitz would be like toddlers and tiaras. Natural or scholarship would be like Miss America. Two very, very different things. And I want to say at the start of this, there is no judgment. If you do glitz pageants, good for you. If you're happy, if your kid is happy, well-adjusted, great. If you do natural pageants, good for you. If you're happy, your kid is happy and well-adjusted, great. If you're benefiting from either kind of these pageants, that is between you, yourself, and you. That has nothing to do with me. So just know that this isn't a judgment. This is just for educational purposes, okay? So don't anybody get upset about what I'm going to say. So let's talk about glitz first. Toddlers and tiaras. Most of us are familiar with that. If you're not, go to YouTube, type in toddlers and tiaras, and let me tell you, your mind is going to be blown. Some crazy stuff, in my humble opinion, is going to pop up. You're going to see little girls who are super dolled up, lots and lots of makeup, big hair, usually like lots of fake hair, hair extensions, hair pieces, pre-made hair pieces that travel around in little boxes for their pageants. Fake teeth, they're called flippers, because little kids are often missing like a front tooth or 2 front teeth. So they get something called a flipper and they just pop it in there. It's almost like a little clip-in denture, for a lack of better words. Spray tans, all the things. I mean, all the things. Everything stereotypically that you think of when you think of children's beauty pageants, that's pretty much what a glitz pageant is. The little girls, they go on stage, they do their walks, which are, these very intricate routines. And it's almost like with glitz pageants, I feel like the routines, the modeling routines are almost like dancey. Like there's just like a lot of stuff going on in them. They have these super elaborate costumes. There's different categories, and it's typically judged on, like your costume, your facial beauty. It's judged on your modeling, of course, how you carry yourself, all that jazz. But for the most part, a glitz pageant is more about the outside package of what you're bringing to the table. Now, you can win a lot of money. You can win great prizes with glitz pageants. I mean, I've seen older girls in glitz pageants, but I feel like glitz pageants are usually more geared towards younger girls up to like maybe 15, 16, 17, starting at baby's age. But like, I don't personally know of any adult glitz pageants that are out there, although I'm sure that there are some. But I don't know of any. I feel like it kind of like its age limit kind of like hits and runs out maybe around like 17 or so. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, a scholarship or a natural pageant is very, very different. And I think that most people's preconceived notions are based on the glitz pageant ideal. So a scholarship pageant, I grew up competing in scholarship pageants. Scholarship pageants are exactly what they sound. They are an opportunity to win scholarship for your continued education. I personally am a big advocate of scholarship pageants for many reasons. And that's maybe something that we'll go into, on another episode. But what a scholarship pageant does is that's looking for a little bit more of like what's going on inside and who you are, what your character is, and what you can bring to the table from an inside kind of vibe rather than an outside kind of package. So when you're competing in a scholarship pageant, a lot of times, pretty much every time, you're going to have a private interview. I don't know if they do private interviews in Glitz pageants. I don't think that they do. There might be some where they do, but I don't really think that that's a big thing with Glitz. But with a scholarship pageant, that is the thing. Like, that's the main thing. You're going to sit down at a panel with several judges. It could be 2 judges. It could be 4. It could be 5. It could be 6. You're going to sit down. They're going to ask you questions. They want to get to know all about you. Are you involved in your community? Do you have a platform or a cause? They want to know who you are and how you're making a difference in the world. Other phases of competition in a scholarship pageant might also be, you might have a runway competition, which could be, just like a regular, cool, stylish, contemporary fashion outfit that you like. There's almost always an evening gown competition. I don't think that there's a pageant where there isn't an evening gown competition. And some scholarship pageants also offer talent competitions. I love talent. That was my favorite phase of competition when I was young. It's just super fun. But for talent, a lot of times you can pretty much bring anything to the table. And if you are someone who has watched Miss America over the last 20 years, you'll see how much the talent portion has evolved over the years. From now girls are doing science experiments and poetry readings and different things that maybe in the past weren't considered traditional talents. Previously, traditional talents were considered, to be things that were like piano playing the flute or clarinet, singing, dancing, baton twirling, and I'm sure I'm missing something, but those were pretty much the most common, most popular. There are always other things as well, but those were the most common and popular, I feel like 15 years ago and then back in history. But now you're seeing other things, which personally I actually think is really cool. You might be an amazing title holder and you might be someone that girls will really look up to, but maybe you don't have a traditional talent. Maybe you never took dance lessons or you never took voice lessons, but you're really great with science or you're amazing with public speaking. That is a talent to me. I think that that's really awesome. So now you see all kinds of things. So you've got talent, evening gown. Sometimes you have some sort of a fashion thing. With Miss America, it's fitness. So they go out there and they've got their fitness outfits and they do their little fitness routines and whatever. It used to be swimsuit. By the way, another episode, we are going to have a whole hot topic discussion on, do we like fitness better or do we like swimsuit better, and should we bring back swimsuit? You might be surprised at what my answer is, but I can't wait to talk about that a whole different day. Those are pretty much the differences between Glitz and scholarship. All right, last but not least, let's talk about chaos. All right, this is blowing my mind. So I don't know if you've seen it, but there is this hot topic. It's all about the Werkin bag. Now, I am not, let me just, full disclaimer. If you have not figured this out about me already, I'm running a podcast, but I'm sitting here rocking my Viking mom wrestling shirt. I'm just a regular everyday Midwest, middle of the road kind of gal. I'm not into designer labels. I'm not into designer tags. I never have been. It doesn't mean that I can't appreciate the finer things in life. It's just that those are not things that I necessarily prioritize. So I find this story to be so incredibly crazy, and there's no judgment. Please know, on anything I'm about to say, there's no judgment. My brain just can't wrap around it. So Hermes, I'm probably not even saying it right because I'm a country bumpkin, straight up, but Hermes is a brand. It's a luxury brand where the bags sell for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. I'm talking about handbags. So there's one bag in particular. It's called a Birkin. A quick Google search rendered me a result showing Birkin bags going from $30,000 to $39,000. And I'm sure that there are some that are less and maybe there are some that are more, but to me, that is just wild, right? That is so crazy, that's so much. But I understand that these bags are hand stitched and they are supposed to be heirloom products. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is how it was explained to me. Somebody told me that in order to even be allowed to purchase a handbag from Hermes, you first have to purchase like $10,000 worth of plates or other items. And then once you do that, you may or may not be invited in to purchase one of their handbags. I would love for someone to like explain that more to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I understand it. So these Birkin bags, they can be $40,000. Well, here comes Walmart doing its Walmart thing, and they're like, hold on a second, hold my purse. They came out with their own bag, which is apparently, allegedly, a knockoff of the Birkin bag, and it has been dubbed the Werkin bag. Get it, like Walmart and Birkin, Werkin. So it's called the Werkin bag. I've also heard it called a Walmez bag, which I kind of thought that was funny too. But it sounds like people are in an uproar about the fact that Walmart has replicated so well, visually at least, this bag, and then the Werkin bag retails from $79.96 or whatever it is that Walmart does to like $130. That's a huge difference from a $40,000 handbag. Huge difference. And again, I'm not a purse person, so I don't know how good the comparison is. Like, I've seen pictures of both. To me, it looks pretty good. I'm sure to somebody who's more into fashion and handbags, they would definitely be able to look at them and say like, oh my gosh, those are nothing alike. But I mean, I felt like they looked a lot alike. That's just my uneducated opinion in that particular realm. But I guess a lot of collectors of the Birkin bags are very, very upset that Walmart has made these bags and that people are carrying them. So here's where I'm kind of like mind blown over it. All right, let's think about all the people who have legitimate Louis bags. And then let's think about all the people, which is going to be way more, that have knockoff Louis bags. I am genuinely curious, if you have a real Louis bag, are you upset if your neighbor or someone you know gets a knockoff Louis bag? Can't you tell the difference between the two? I feel like the naked eye can tell the difference. Plus, you know yours is real and they know theirs is fake. But at the end of the day, it's just a purse, right? Like, who cares? So that's kind of how I've always looked at it. I've always felt like if I had a fake knockoff Louis, which I don't have a real Louis, but if I had a fake Louis, I feel like my girlfriends, and I have quite a few girlfriends who have real Louis, would be able to immediately look at my Louis and know it wasn't real. Like, I feel like they would just know that. And I don't think that they would be bothered by me carrying around a fake bag. Like, I can't picture that. So this Hermes bag thing, I'm not really sure why people are so up in arms about it. I don't know if it's because maybe this is considered an heirloom item. I don't know if it's because of how it's made, that they're handmade, hand stitched. I'm not really sure. Or if it's because, if my understanding is correct, and you kind of have to be invited in to buy the bag, which again, I don't know if that's true. That's just how it was explained to me, but that information could be false. But if it's not false, then maybe that's why people are upset, because now it's going to look like you have your bag that you were invited in to buy, and then, you know, maybe somebody in your family who's not in the financial position that you're in also now has a Birkin bag, which is really just like a Werkin bag from Walmart that they spent $120 on, and they are happy as a clam, and they're super excited, and they love their bag. Is it that like you're frustrated because you feel like that's something that you worked hard for and now someone just got a knockoff of it? Or is it that you want there to be like a separation, like you want people to be able to tell that you're able to afford more? Like, this is not a judgment. These are genuine, serious questions. I just don't understand why people are getting so upset. I don't understand why people are getting so worked up about the Werkin bag looking like the Birkin bag. Now, on topic but off topic, I will also say I'm very surprised that Walmart has kind of been able to get away with this, just because visually I feel like they do look very similar design wise, and designs are always going to be protected, and I believe that that would be a patent. I could be wrong, but I think it's a patent that a design is protected by. So I am curious to know how Walmart was able to kind of like skate around that. I'm curious to know if Hermes will pursue anything against Walmart. But yeah, that is the topic of chaos today. I keep seeing things about it and my mind is blown, and I just don't understand why people are in such an uproar. This has been going on for years and years with the Louis bags, but now Walmart has figured out how to make it a thing with the Hermes bags. So let me know what you think. Drop a comment below, shoot me an email. I want to hear your opinions. I am very, very curious. Like, if I'm just missing the mark here and I am completely off base and not understanding why people are upset, I would love to know. I'd love to know because I don't get it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching episode 2. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, share with your friends. I would love to see you back here, even though I can't really see you. But if you leave me a comment, I'll be able to see your comment and I can respond to that. If you have any ideas that you'd like me to talk about, or if you have something that you think you could contribute to the podcast and you'd like to be a guest, please reach out to me at cameras, crowns, and chaos@gmail.com. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have the best day ever. Bye. So they were being quiet, but all of a sudden it was going like this. And I was like, what the heck? It's okay. You can leave them. They're being quiet. It's fine.
Hey. Come on, guys. Come fight out here.
Did you say come fight out here?
Yeah.
That's funny.